Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We're going back into r/Tales of Neckbeard because I gotta admit, it was kind of a relaxing video to make a while back. It didn't exactly do too well, so it kind of deterred me from doing any ones further. But if this one does pretty well and gets me, let's say, like a big old fat number like 2,000 likes, that would be really motivating for me to continue doing more of these, and it lets me know that you guys like seeing them too. So, you know the deal, hit the like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on them notifications. Also, check out the playlist of these. They should be in the end cards, and you might find some stuff that's pretty entertaining. Okie dokie, let's go. Our first story comes to us from username Giuseppe Jackalope, the short-lived tale of TimTamTom. I, 20F, recently started a new retail job about 2 weeks ago. Surprisingly, it's been going really well. The majority of my coworkers have been extremely sweet, and customers seem to love me. Unfortunately, on my second day, I met what would be the pain in my neck for the rest of the week. We will call him TimTamTom, TB for short. TB was a very stocky 22-year-old male who smelled of tobacco and cigars. He was a total weeb. Nothing wrong with that, but just about fit the bill of your average neckbeard. He wasn't exactly socially awkward per se, but he definitely seemed to lack an understanding of what was and wasn't socially appropriate. At first, this didn't bother me, as I had just met him at this point, and I understand that everyone has their weird qualities. On my second day, I was introduced to TB by one of my female coworkers who was giving me a tour of the store aisles. He started out by complimenting my bee earrings, which I thought was super sweet. He then told me it would be cool if the little honey pots dangling from them were filled with real honey. Okay, a bit out of the ordinary, but alright. As the day went on, I talked to him a few more times in passing. He seemed to have a great personality, despite being a little weird, and I enjoyed the small talk. I learned we both have ADHD, which I assumed would explain his lack of social awareness. There was more banter between us about our interest, and I learned we had more things in common, but I didn't think anything else of it. Although I'm not a big fan of anime myself, there are a lot of my friends who are, and I have a love for Asian and Oriental cuisine. His eyes seemed to glimmer at this. Later on that night, after things started to slow down, I was talking to one of my new coworkers about my age. For context, I am a very petite and look 4 years younger than I actually am. Almost all of my coworkers assumed I was 16, which is an assumption I have grown accustomed to. When TB caught wind of this, he asked me how old I really was. Wait, how old are you actually? I'm going to turn 20 soon. I know I probably don't look it. Oh, well, at least you're still cute. I sort of chuckled and said thank you, but this was my first indication that he might have been attempting to hit on me. The time to prepare the store for closing was near, and I was tasked with recovering the shelves in one of our seasonal decorational aisles. It just so happened that TB was instructed to do the same. So, do you have Snapchat? I used to, but I really don't use it anymore. I'm sorry. Oh, then maybe I can ask you for your number later? Yeah, maybe later today, okay? Yeah, okay. I'm very bad with women. Here we go. It was at this point I knew he was hitting on me. I awkwardly went back to what I was doing, trying to wrap my brain around what exactly was happening. I'm not very good at telling people no and get easily overwhelmed, so looking back, I'm mad at myself for not voicing how I felt. And then he asked this. So, are you dating anyone? Me a bit surprised. Yeah, actually, I am. Okay, cool. That's nice. I purposely didn't tell him whether or not I was dating a guy or a girl. You see, I don't exactly look straight. I have really short hair, I tuck in my shirt and cuff my pants. I wear a lot of weird jewelry, and a surprisingly majority of the time, people automatically assume I'm a lesbian. And to be honest, I was really hoping the same would hold true, that TB would think I like girls and leave me alone. I was surprised, however, when he correctly guessed I was dating a guy. So, what's your boyfriend like? He's really amazing and I absolutely adore him. He's going to college right now to become a therapist. The only problem is that he lives on the other side of the continent. What? Have you two ever met before? Have you touched him yet? Unfortunately, not in person yet. I'm really hoping to meet him next year. So, you don't know anything about him? Well, he's sort of been my best friend for the past 3 years, so I think I know him pretty well. You see, my bestest BFF was the one who introduced me to him, and eventually the two of us ended up becoming extremely good friends too. We just recently started dating. Huh? Well, I like to keep my best friends as best friends. I don't start dating them. Then I'd have one less best friend. No, dude, we're still best friends in a way. It's just that we are together. Are you two still going to be best friends when you know, makes overtly sexual gestures? Me now applaud. Dude, neither of us want that. Both me and my boyfriend are asexual. For the uninitiated, asexual means we don't experience sexual attraction to anyone, men or women, but we are still very romantically in love with each other. While we aren't super open about it and do not mind explicit jokes from our good friends about the two of us, someone I met less than 3 hours ago having the audacity to talk to me and my boyfriend in that way is when I have a problem. The night continued. TB decided to tell me what gross fantasies he would act out if he had a girlfriend, as if that would somehow impress me. Again, I met this man 3 hours ago. I remember a moment where I got so overwhelmed by this and blurted out, "Not in this Christian establishment," to which he replied that he would even act it out in the store. My skin absolutely crawled. As I was trying to leave for the night, TB caught up to me and forcefully handed me his phone. He told me to put my number into his contacts, and because of the fact I can't say no mixed with my desire for him to just leave me alone, I obliged. On the way home, I told my boyfriend and my BFF what had happened. Both of them wanted to kill TB, but maybe just this once I can be glad the both of them live 4,000 miles away. A few days pass and I barely see him, thankfully, but I was still extremely uncomfortable with what he had said. In passing, he asked me if I would go to a smoke shop with him, and I told him I couldn't because I was underage. Not that I would want to anyway. He then shoved a cigar under my nose and told me to smell it, which, dude, why do you have it with you at work in the first place? Later that night, I talked to one of our CSMs and told her what happened. I pleaded that I did not want to make someone lose their position over one uncomfortable encounter. She said she would talk to a store manager about what happened, and reassured me that he wouldn't be in any big trouble over just this instance. I felt relieved to hear that. I didn't want to cause an issue for anyone on my 4th day. The next day, however, TB was called to the store manager's office and was promptly fired. I felt absolutely horrible and called one of my friends crying that night after my shift. I didn't want to be the reason someone lost their job, but my boyfriend and other friends agreed I had done the right thing. A little while later, I had learned I wasn't TB's first offense even. Apparently, he had made remarks to customers about their wedding nights. There was even an instance that he made a gross comment about a customer's 4-year-old daughter. Hearing that one made me absolutely seethe. I just really hope he learned his lesson about boundaries and what is and is not appropriate. TLDR, weird coworker has no concept of boundaries and made sexual remarks to his coworker and customers and gets fired. Honestly, I gotta admit, I've experienced some people that just don't know social boundaries at all, and it really is just awkward because it's not like you can just shoo them away, because sometimes you kind of feel like you're socially supposed to be talking to them, but at the other time you don't want to talk to them and you just kind of feel like if I just stand here, maybe they'll walk away on their own terms, but they don't. Hopefully, after hearing that he's done this to a lot of other people, you feel a little less bad about reporting it, but reporting it was the good thing to do. It's what you're supposed to do. It's because it's not good. I honestly wouldn't want to be working with a person if they made me feel awkward and uncomfortable each and every time I came into work. That's no way you're going to have any sort of comfort doing your job. Our next story comes to us from username Cheese the Giraffe, the potential tale of Music Beard. This is a short story about a potential neckbeard run-in. Disclaimer, I have never had a confirmed neckbeard sighting, so I have no clue if this guy is actually a neckbeard. I just got some vibes from the way he was acting and talking. Tell me if it's not the right sub, I'll remove it, a TLDR at the end, and let's meet our cast. Actually, the disclaimer had me kind of thinking, after this story, let me know down below whether or not this is actually in fact a neckbeard event. Cheese, me, new to school, here with my friend Sun. Sun, my friend, one of the two friends in my Thursday after school class. Eliza, my friend with Sun. She's not really in the story, but she is mentioned, so I'm including her here. Spook, my friend, also in my music after school. Again, not in the story, but I mention him, so I'm listing him here. MB, short for Music Beard, the potential beard of the story. Now, let's get to it. So, at my school, we have after-school classes. I'm sure this is typical at other schools, especially where I live. But here's how it works at my school. You hand in your permission forms one day and just sign into the cafeteria every day. Then, after you sign in, you go and get food or just hang out for like half an hour. After that, you clear out and go to whatever class you want to go to that day. This week, as of writing, was my first week there, so I planned on going to a class about music production with my friend Spook. He had been going to it since after school started and kept asking whether or not I was coming that week. I always said no because I'm on a sports team and our season ran from August to October or November. It ended on a really depressing note, so I forget the actual date. This week, however, I turned in my forms and was able to go. I told Spook this, but it turns out that he wasn't going, so I just went downstairs to hang out with Sun, Eliza, and their friend before the after-school class started. The time comes where we go to our classes. Eliza dipped and went home, and I followed Sun to the music room. I spent the 2-ish hours in there trying to play the piano, singing Don't Stop Dancing from BoJack Horseman, and First Burn from the Hamilton Cuts, and eventually singing random Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande songs with Sun and one of his friends. And by singing, I meant sang as quietly as possible while I enjoyed listening to Sun and his friends sing. Those two have some nice sets of pipes. Time eventually runs out, and we clear out of the music room. I'm walking backwards, facing the group of kids who just left. One of Sun's friends eventually turned to me. He asked me if I'm really a freshman. The last I checked, I hadn't been a student at my high school before. So I say yes. He's surprised, saying he thought I was a sophomore. I laugh, and this is when MB appeared out of nowhere. Wait, so you're a freshman? Yep, that's what I just said. Cool. So where'd you go to school before here? I went to middle school. Oh, cool. My sister wanted to go there. Yeah, the 6th grade science teacher was a B, though. True, she was. Nodding. Cool, I guess. The conversation was short, and it floated around our names and the school and our grades. It turns out he's a sophomore, I think, and not that much older than me. The more we talked, the more red flags started going up for me. The first one was the way he was talking. It was very measured and slow. Not like he was just a slow talker, but kind of like he was calculating every word he said to me. It was also overly formal, like halfway between 1920s boxing ring announcer and some British guy who just got done yelling at his inferiors and is about to go home and yell at his wife and 17 malnourished children. He started talking about how old we were and that there wasn't a huge age difference between us. That was the second thing that weirded me out. It's just a passing comment, sure, but it's odd when I factor in Sun's age. Sun is a junior. He's 2 years older than me, and even if he wasn't, he is much taller and looks quite a bit older than me. I'm friends with a lot of the other juniors as well. None of them have ever brought up the age difference. No one from the outside looking in has brought up the age difference for me and my friends. Another thing that hit me weird was the fact that he probably thought I was a girl. I am not. I am assigned female at birth, but I'm not a girl. I'm gender fluid, although I use they them pronouns no matter if I feel femme, masc, or androgynous. With a stellar luck, I was having a feminine day that day and as wearing some pretty feminine clothes that have a subtle way of highlighting the way my body is shaped. So to someone who assumes my gender, I was a girl. So we're leaving the basement of my school, which is where our class was, and he was walking ahead of me on the stairs. We get up to the ground floor, and he's holding the door open. I assume that he's holding it open for all of us, as most of the people have walked through, so I walk through this open door and don't look behind me. However, I do stop as I'm waiting for Sun to finish walking up the stairs, and it turns out that MB has just let the door shut behind him. I lunged at the door to keep it from slamming shut on Sun's face and got there just in time. For reference, Sun was checking something on his phone and he didn't notice the door shutting. If I didn't, he could have been slapped in the face by a giant hunk of metal. Luckily, Sun was okay and we just kept walking. The conversation turned back to the age thing. Sun made a joke about him taking me out on a date, asking him if he wanted to because I was a fine young lady at the time. Obviously sarcastic, overly fancy voice. MB didn't refute this, and that was the thing that pushed me over. I kinda shut down when he had talked to me from then on. I have some mental things that make social interactions hard, and when it's uncomfortable to go nonverbal, so I'd respond to this question by pointing and shrugging and nodding/shaking my head. Thank the gods we went in different directions on the subway. But for now, this is where my tale of my potential neckbeard story ends. I go back to music next week, so I'll post again if it develops. TLDR, I ran into a potential neckbeard in after school who spoke to me in an awkward, formal way, kept making comments on my age, held the door for me, and almost let it slam in my friend's face, and didn't rebut a dating joke made by said friend. Again, tell me if this is the wrong sub, I'll take this down if need be. You know, looking back at the details and all in the story and everything, the whole formal voice and only holding the door is like the whole chivalrous thing only for you, but not the other person because, you know, let just slam in the face. Yeah, this definitely qualifies as one, at least from my point of view. But with that is going to have to be it with the video. If you guys want to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more of these videos in the future, especially the storytime format stuff, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. Also, check out more videos in the playlist. There's a whole bunch of them, unfortunately, so you might find some things that you might either wince at or like a lot. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.